Good morning, live from Bohol, Philippines. Just want to congratulate the Lakers on defeating the Warrior Princesses 4 games to 2 in the 2023 NBA playoffs. Hopefully, this is the end of the Warriors' fake so-called dynasty. I I hesitate to even call them a dynasty. It's more of a contrived, fabricated media definition built up through wanting to anoint Steph Curry as the golden boy and favorable officiating from the referees, injuries to other players, and essentially just a lot of luck. I mean, I think Portland should have beat them early on in their run. The Rockets should have beat them. The Cavs should have beat them, but they lost Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving back in 2015. Defeated them in 2016. And they went and had to team up with Kevin Durant, the biggest cupcake in the world, and still barely the LeBron Cavs couldn't defeat Kawhi's Toronto Raptors. But damn, I mean, the amount of moving screens that Draymond Green sets, the hacks he gets away with, barking at the officials where everybody else would get a technical or get thrown out of the game. Unbelievable. So I really hope this is the end of their dynasty. I hope it's over forever. They've got the highest payroll in the league. They pay a historic amount of luxury tax. I think it's over $400 million a year for salary plus luxury tax. Next year they got Jordan Poole's massive extension kicking in, and he wildly underperformed, so that's going to be an albatross for him. And Curry's a year older, Draymond's a year older, Thompson's a year older, and he didn't do a damn thing this playoffs either. So I really look forward to them maybe missing the playoffs next year. I mean, if they make the playoffs, I'd consider that a success, because you got to assume some of their core is going to get injured. Yeah, I was supposed to. Hey, Don C, how you doing? I was supposed to go on a little island hopping thing this morning on a private boat, and woke up super early just to find out it got canceled. So went to bed early last night, woke up early this morning. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just go for a swim in a few minutes here. Might go for a motorcycle ride up in the mountains. Did that yesterday. It was actually pretty cool. They paved a lot of the roads here. Last few years of the Duterte administration, they paved a bunch of roads in the province. So it makes motorcycle riding a lot more enjoyable. I mean, I got a Honda XRM 125cc, and I can get out in the mountains pass, but not for too long. I mean, I like the paved roads. What are you doing up so early, Don C? Yeah, this is more just about congratulating the Lakers and hopefully putting a nail in a coffin with the Golden State Warriors. You go for a swim in the ocean, a lake, or a pool? You got your own pool, or you go to a public pool? Yeah, Father Time's undefeated, but LeBron James sure has been killing it at age 38. I mean, he definitely took a few games, maybe 25 games off this season. Doesn't play as much defense as he used to. Still does it in spurts, but his offense is good as ever. And I'm not a LeBron fan at all. I wouldn't call myself a hater, but I'm definitely not a LeBron fan. Not a big fan of his politics either. But the man sure can play basketball for his age. Oh, the Honda 160 PCX. Is that a new model? That's got to be 2022 or 2023. When I first got here, I wanted to get the Yamaha NMAX, but I had my heart set on it. Between ABS, non-ABS, I was debating back and forth and color schemes. And then I sat on it at the dealership, and I said, "Dude, I'm just a little bit too tall. My knees were kind of banging into sort of the plastic frame in the front." So just pulled the trigger, got the little cheap Honda XRM, and probably going to upgrade to a Honda ADV 160, possibly in December. Got like 7,000 kilometers on my bike right now. I kind of like trading these scooters out every 10,000 kilometers or so, just to, things start going wrong. I think they're made in China, but assembled in the Philippines. Or the engine's made in Taiwan, or fabricated from parts in China. I've just never had good luck with any scooter made in China after about 10,000 kilometers. That's 2 of them here and 2 of them in America. Lots of little parts start to go bad. Yeah, I might give my scooter to my girl's dad. He's a mechanic, got a little mechanic shop out in front of their house, does vulcanizing, fixes scooters, and whatever goes wrong, I'm sure he can fix it. I mean, I'll put a new battery, new tires on it for him. He'll be good to go. New brakes, maybe. Get myself a new one. And a guy I met in 2012 who was married to a Filipina said that was the best way to keep the family on his side, was the brothers, the uncles, the dad kind of would promise them a scooter every Christmas. And this year the dad's getting a scooter, next year the uncle, next year the brother. And they kind of knew it after a while. And his marriage lasted, I don't know, 6, 7 years in the Philippines. And they make sure every time I go there to check, do an oil change, check the tire pressure and all that. What brand is your electric scooter, Don C? I almost got the 400cc BMW electric scooter back in the States, but yeah, decided not to. Um, I really want to get a factory warranty with any scooter I buy, and the factory warranty on that scooter was like pretty damn expensive. Yeah, I've thought about getting a car. I was looking at the Suzuki Ginny. It's kind of like a little miniature Jeep Grand Cherokee. Um, but traffic in Cebu City is so bad, especially during rush hour. I mean, it's tough. It's not too bad in a scooter for obvious reasons. You can cut in and out. But yeah, it's like, for example, going from Marco Polo to SM Mall was less than 2 kilometer drive, and in a car in rush hour that could be 40 minutes, and that's just a little bit too long. Susan Rice says, how you make a living being a foreigner in the Philippines? I don't make a living here. I made a living in America and worked and saved my money, invested it, and now I'm here. Yeah, I really, a lot of guys I know here, it seems like the majority of my circle of friends are actually foreigners, at least, are employed in the Philippines. Most of them, one works for a company at the MEPSA, the Mactan Economic Processing Zone. One has his own business here, doing extremely well. The rest of them work online, either as teachers or web design. But money, I'd go back and work. It's the best place in the world for wealth creation and generation. Yeah, just working in America, heavy hours, saving money, and made decent investments, some good, some bad, but uh, enough to live off here. I mean, I'm not going to be flying private jets or buying Ferraris, but I could fly business class and maybe buy a Mercedes, but I'm not. I'm just going to enjoy my life and travel. Yeah, I guess a car makes a little more sense in Thailand. I heard once you get out, traffic's not so bad, but yeah, Cebu City during rush hour, a car is a no-go. I'm not going to do it. Not going to sit there listening to people honk their horns. It's bad enough on a scooter. Yeah, but a small scooter zipping in and out of traffic is the way to go. Yeah, I was in Cebu in 2012 and then didn't come back until 2022. So I have quite a long time in between, so I can actually judge before and after. And traffic's gotten a little worse, not exceptionally worse, but rush hour traffic has gotten much worse. And I attribute that to the fact that most of the people that have 9 to 5 jobs in the city center have all bought cars in the last 10 years. There's enough financing schemes, as they call it, where a lot of people can, you know, buy it on a 7-year loan, 8-year payment plan, and it's a big status symbol. So Filipinos love those status symbols of wealth. Um, Big part of why they always take a picture of their food when they're out at a restaurant. You got to take a picture of a plate of food, post it on Facebook, make people jealous. Same thing, you get a car, park it out front, make your neighbors jealous. Part of the culture here. Yeah, Timmy, I'm not going to confirm or deny whether Bama has his phone or not, but he's definitely not going to be doing live streams. I'll just say that. Yeah, Don, see, there's Philippines, obviously 7,000 islands. Um, Most places have a form of inter-island transportation in the form of ro-ros, roll-on, roll-off bonka boats, but it's significantly more for a vehicle, two-wheel or four-wheel, than it is as a seat. And it doesn't make sense to me, but a car, like for example, to go from Cebu to Bohol, might cost you anywhere from 300 to 800 pesos for a person, depending on which ferry route you take. But for that same route, it could be, it's about triple for a motorcycle. I think it was 330 to go from Cebu to Tubigan, and then to go from Cebu to Tubigan with a motorcycle is 1,200. It includes your fare as a person, but only for one. So for my girlfriend and I to go from Cebu to Tubigan on a motorcycle is like almost with terminal fee and everything. It was like 1,600 pesos. And cars, depending on the size of the car, it goes up rather violently from there. Sunk cost fallacy. Huh, that's a interesting way to describe listening to Bama. It's like almost like you're waiting for the final chapter of the train wreck. Yeah, I like Bama. I think he's a good guy. Um, this show's not going to be talking about Bama and Frank. There's multiple shows spending hours discussing the intricacies of Bama's passport. Well, Susan, that's the beautiful thing is Barry doesn't need a lot of money to be happy and successful. Um, he's getting what $580 a month, and he's pretty happy as is. I mean, some guys can live in a fan room out in the province. Some guys need a, 3-bedroom air conditioning house with a car. Yeah, Barry doesn't have that filter that I guess you could call it self-discipline. I mean, he's an American, believes in free speech, and he's not backing down. If you challenge him, he'll stand his ground, whether he's got no money or not. He is who he is, and I look at him as rather transparent in the way he operates. So yeah, I've been to Bangkok, but I've never been to Pattaya or anywhere else. Um, Thailand, I obviously it went legal, and by it I mean cannabis. Um, and I was in the ground floor of the U.S. cannabis scene as it transitioned from the traditional to licensed or illegal to legal. But even when it was illegal, it was always quasi legal. Um, I first went to my very first dispensary in the summer of 2000. Walked in with no shoes, my shirt off, with my buddy who didn't have my ID. We walked in, bought some, smoked, and it was all good. And of course, before that, you had your local connects and get it that way or grow your own. So as it went legal in California in 2016, I mean, the changes were honestly not for the better. Prices went up, quality did go up. Um, the people that were kind of shut out of access to the product beforehand now can access it. But let's be honest, anybody who wanted to smoke in California before it was legal, like you could find a way. It wasn't difficult to find it. I mean, you could pretty much go to any beach town, go underneath the pier, and just kind of look for a guy with dreadlocks, or and just use your nose to find it. Or um, way back in the day, the easiest way to find it was you just go to a smoke shop and wait for someone to walk in and buy a pack of zigzags or some blunt wraps, and then just be like, hey man, I'm from out of town, can you got $20 I could buy off you, and like get their number. And it was pretty easy. um to me, I have done no other narcotics in my life, absolutely zero. I've smoked a few cigarettes. Obviously I drink beer. Don't really drink hard alcohol. Trying to get into wine, but uh, I don't know. I'll just stick with beer. But yeah, weed was it. No ecstasy, shrooms, coke, none of that stuff. Didn't really see the need to. Plus, I know myself as my habits, and like I had a pretty big marijuana habit back in the day, and you apply that to cocaine or meth or something, like, ooh, I couldn't imagine myself having a big habit like that. Well, friends that's like some people did known as the collective model, or the collective model was uh, three or more people get together and you can grow plants for each other. And someone, you go in a grow room with 100 plants, and like it would literally have a person's name on each plant. And it came down to essentially the sheriff's deputy in that county kind of just looking the other way. The DEA did come in and raid it, but I think in Santa Clara County and Santa Cruz back in the early 90s, there were like brick and mortar dispensaries popping up, and they've lasted for a long time. I think one of them's still in operation at the exact same place. I think it just had its 30-year anniversary. Same location, same owners. Some of the workers are the same people. So there have been dispensaries in operation for 30 plus years. Um, I mean, just in Long Beach, California, like I remember going to one, I think in 2003, maybe 2004, and like, I mean, there's been so many popping in and out. Like, it's hard to really say, but the first dispensaries operated under what's known as the collective model. So it's people would aggregate their time, space, money, and expertise to grow the plant, and then you could go there and you couldn't buy the plant. You would donate. You would either donate your time, money, space, or expertise. So somebody would donate his property for the grow, and in return, he would receive product back. And some people would donate their time trimming. Some people would donate their expertise on seed genetics or fertilization methods. Some other people would donate their money for the electricity bill or for startup, and in return, they would receive product. And people that essentially, instead of buying it, you could just donate money. So you weren't buying the plant, you were donating money as a part of, you are donating either time, space, money, or expertise. Well, 99% of people were just donating money, i.e. going in, paying 30, 40 bucks, and here you go. Let's see, let me read some of these comments. Yeah, I do. One of our business partners is consulting with a couple cannabis companies in Thailand right now, and he's working more with seed genetics. It's actually a guy from the Humboldt Seed Organization that I introduced him to a few years ago, and he's brought their seeds to Thailand for their indoor grows. And he's doing well. The company's doing well, but he's not really making any money. I don't know, like, how, if it's like he has a part ownership in it. I don't know how the corporate laws and foreign ownership work in Thailand, but I know the guy he's dealing with was introduced by someone in America to him, a Thai guy in LA. And I know there's like some serious government connections, like high end government connections to, allow them to operate and make it happen. Timmy said, I really wanted him to encourage Dimples to use the full PA investment in the Moal Boal Eatery. Not really sure what you're talking about. I know Dimples was Barry's ex-girlfriend that used him to further her channel. Funny thing is like Drake Shortstone, her husband, fiance, boyfriend, like kind of looks like Barry, which is really weird. And like, I just find it strange that like expats watch Barry's channel and then Barry breaks up with his girlfriend, and like all these expats want those sloppy seconds. I wouldn't want Barry's sloppy seconds, but Drake Shortstone does. So, I mean, that's on him. Let's keep going here. Susan says no one wants to live like a province PHP. I guess that means a province poor lifestyle. Some people do. It does de-stress, but I couldn't do it. I like visiting the province. When I visit my girls' family out in the province, which we're doing in a few days for a fiesta, like I like it, but for like 2 days. I mean, we might stay 4 days this time, and I'm kind of like apprehensive to stay in the province for 4 days. I think 2 days is the good amount. Just kids everywhere, like, it's just, I don't know, like, I don't need air conditioning. I don't need a hot shower, but I do appreciate those things. I just never feel clean in the province. Like, even when I take a shower, and by a shower, I mean a bucket bath, it's just like the water's not crystal clear. We have to walk like 30 feet to where we take a shower on a mud path. The towels that, you do the laundry, it's just the towels kind of have this funky smell because they don't have dryers. They just put them out in the sun. So I don't know. It's like not a bad mold smell, but it's a slight mold smell. But I do. Some guys have a romanticized notion of the province, and I like it. I get out there, I have fun, but I couldn't live in the province. Maybe in a nice house in the province with a nice roof and air conditioning and cable TV and fast internet. But then you're just living behind a wall, isolated. You're not really living in the province. Let's keep going here. Yeah, very normal in San Francisco. Even those tech guys, they experiment with shrooms and microdosing. Uh, I think that's dangerous, personally. I mean, the we had an employee that was microdosing, and like he wasn't at first, but after a couple months, I was like, "What's wrong with this dude?" And I found out, oh, he's microdosing with psilocybin mushrooms, and yeah, he just like was just like not on it with his paperwork or anything. It's just like, I mean, he seemed happy, but yeah, he didn't really care about work too much, and I think that's a part of the microdosing he was doing. So I wouldn't do it. Timmy says, did you ever have to liaise with clumpers and forcers early on to get ahead in the industry? No, we didn't. There were, I've heard stories about like, some people that were small getting visited by like local gang members and stuff, but that never happened with us. I know like pre 2016, like maybe like 2010 or so, there were certain areas that were kind of like a no-go. Like whether it was the Russian mafia or Armenian gangs, or in Orange County, there was a Vietnamese gang, or out in Riverside, there was a biker white power gang. So it's like to kind of, I don't know. I've heard stories of guys having to pay a tax to those guys, but I think with legalization now and corporations and like ex-police officers and ex-fire commissioners being on corporate boards and having direct contact with city council members, I don't think that happens anymore. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like you're some street level dealer and you're dealing on to guys on your street and you got to pay the tax to the local gang. Like, that's not the way it goes down. But I when I first got into it on the legal side, like actually like on the retail side, I was concerned. I definitely was like, hey, what's going on here? But there's never happened to us. Never paid a tax. Never dealt with an enforcer. Um, got scammed by a consultant once. Gave him $1,000, and he promised the world, and all of a sudden his phone didn't work once he got that $1,000. So, nah. Timmy, back in the day in England, a strain called Cali Orange was popular. Do you remember this on? No, there's a strain called Calio. I don't know what was popular in England or not. I'm not from England. But Calio, I think, is a sativa hybrid, uh, a short plant, a dense, compact nugs, if I recall. Um, yeah, strains come and go. Whether back in the day it was Kush, and then purples were real popular, and then people like those OGs, and then diesels, and a lot of things. Then it went to Gorilla Glue and Girl Scout cookies, and most of the super high THC percentage stuff, at least in 2020, 2021, and first half of 2022 before I came to the Philippines. A lot of stuff was what was from the Cookie Fam, which originated the Girl Scout cookie strain, and it was crossed from that. And then so they had these things called cakes, like wedding cake, confetti cake. Then there were like the exotics like biscotti and ice cream cake. So everything was like a hybridized cross. Like you couldn't find that like heavy indica or light sativa. Everything was hybridized. And that's what sold the best. That's what looked the best, tasted the best, highest lab testing percentage. Okay, Don C. 49% of any company. All right, I gotcha. That makes sense. Timmy says Drake was super lazy to just jump straight into bed with Rimples. Now, why do you call her Rimples? I'd like to know that. Is there a reason you don't call her Dimples and you call her Rimples? I'm not sure. Would you care to elaborate on that? Dana White, next time I'll have 40 girls serving my every need. Yeah, well, it'll cost you. Some guys like to do that harem model. Some guys shack up with one girl. Some guys got a girl, they got a girl or two on the side. It's really up to you and your pocketbook. Ain't nothing free in this country. Dana says, how come I didn't bail out Barry? Well, it may be a non-bailable offense, and it it might be one of those situations where the more money you go it with, the more they're going to charge you. And I think no matter what, and this is my opinion, I'm not a legal expert, but I do think Barry is going to be deported, whether that's a self-deportation or um, it's by force and he's escorted to the airplane. Whether he spends a couple weeks in jail or a couple months in jail, I don't know. Um, I am helping Barry out. Um, I'm not going to disclose the monetary amount or exactly what I'm doing, but yeah, I am helping Barry out. And no, you don't need to show your ID. They don't pat you down when you go to the jail to visit them. It's you just, hey, I'm here to see you, Barry Jordan. Right this way, sir, and walk in, give him his chicken plate or whatever I'm bringing him, and um, you know, he doesn't have Gcash, but you can load Shaw up with Gcash, and it goes to the same. Hey, Kenny and Subic, how you doing? Yeah, I Colorado was the first to go fully legal. Um, I don't know about people driving from California there. Like, even when Colorado went legal, there were still literally thousands of dispensaries in California, which were essentially just adult use, 18, 21 and over. You go in, show your driver's license. You didn't need a medical rec. And um, I don't know. I've never known someone that drove from California to Colorado to buy weed, but I'm sure it's happened. I mean, I don't know who in their right mind would ever do that, but I mean, I'm sure somebody has. Um, Getting a medical rec was not difficult. I remember when I first got my first one, I was freaking out. Like, I was like, well, what if the doctor denies me? What if he says no? Like, is this going to go in some federal database? What's going to happen? And I was like, okay, I'm going to go in, tell him I'm having trouble sleeping and I need indicas to help me sleep. And when I buy off the street, I don't know what I'm getting sold and I'm very concerned. And I don't, I'm worried about my getting jumped or robbed. And I just want it gives me anxiety and I want to go and buy from a dispensary where I could look at it and know like the genetics behind it. And it's just safer for me. And I had this whole like story I was going to tell. And I go into the office and like doctor is just this dude with a ponytail in his 50s, just like furiously writing on a paper, filling out the form as I'm telling him. And he calls me and he's like, and so, hey, and what was your reason for wanting medical marijuana? And I was like, well, I'm just having trouble sleeping. And the reason why I need to, help me sleep is I need an indica. And like, I didn't even get through that sentence. He cuts me off. He says, sleep. Yep. Sleep is good. And signs it off and says, here you go. Go pay $40. And that was that. Got a 12-month subscription, not subscription, I mean prescription. And I was able to go in basically any dispensary around. Um, and so, I mean, if people did drive to Colorado, sure. I mean, I believe it, but those people were idiots if they did. Oh, Timmy. Dimples, okay. You didn't mean to say rimples. I don't know. I thought there was a meaning behind why you said rimples. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about 100%. I say 98% he's getting kicked out. Very, very small chance he can somehow like self-deport to Hong Kong for a day or two and then fly back to the Philippines. But I think he's heading back to California, then busing it to Alabama. And I mean, I've said this before, like 3 days before Barry got the knock on the door from immigration, we were talking and he said straight up, he goes, I'm going home. And I was like, what do you mean going home? Like to Moal Boal or Cebu? Or he goes, no, I'm going back to Alabama. And he said he was having some health issues, having trouble breathing, and he was going home and he was going to fly to Manila either last week of May or first week of June, apply for repatriation, and like Peter Vandiver did, and he was going to go back to the U.S. It, didn't happen that way. Unfortunately, Frank's operatives hit him up beforehand. So I do think he is going home. A very, very small chance, like somehow his lawyer and the money from Ricky Drama and other generous superstars helping him out will somehow be able to change it. Like, but even then, like maybe he gets released and he gets 30 to 60 days to finalize his details and book a flight and finish all his business and sell his stuff and head on his way back to the U.S. People saying he's going to get arrested at the airport and they're going to slap cuffs on him for unpaid child support. Like, that's not true. Seems that his child got adopted at age 2 and Barry hasn't seen him for 20 years. So if your child gets adopted, from what I understand, like it absolves you of past child support duties. And second, I think like whoever he owes the child support to, his ex, would have to get a lawyer to file paperwork to have him arrested. And that would only be in Alabama. And I don't even think they'd arrest him. I think they would just like maybe cite him, process him, and like serve him with papers. And like, if he's just like, hey, you want to garnish my social security check, my disability check a little bit, here's 120 a month, pay that for 60 months or whatever, and it's good. And then he's in a payment program. And I don't think like some Alabama verdict for unpaid child support is going to prevent him from getting a U.S. passport. I don't think the systems talk to each other that way, unless it's like filed by a district attorney or some prosecutor to put a hold on it. I just don't see it happening. Let's see. You can buy yourself out of anything in the Philippines. Yes, but that is a double-edged sword. Then again, like someone could pay to have bullshit charges put on you too. So it's not the blind justice system in America. And then even in America, I mean, guys can spend millions on lawyers. I mean, look at corporations that spend tens of millions of dollars on tax attorneys to get out of paying taxes. So buying yourself out of anything in the Philippines is also true for most of Western civilization. But as far as like getting pulled over for driving without a helmet, yeah, of course you can pay your way out of that. I mean, we're not breaking any news there. Kenny and Subik, I saw the license plates in the parking lot. I'm not sure the context of that. Crazy how he never going back. I'm assuming you mean Barry's never going back to the Philippines. Never say never. That's all I'll say on that. It might be, 3 months. It might be 3 years. I do think he's going back to America. I do think he's going to have to pay the Philippines government, but he's not a criminal. It's an administrative issue, civil issue that he has essentially a fine he hasn't paid for a non-crime. He pays that fine and penalties, processes the paperwork, and I think he's good to go. I mean, having Frank putting heavy resources into preventing that is obviously going to throw a little monkey wrench in that plan. But Frank doesn't have the money to keep funding this. Frank is trying to crowdfund and GoFundMe and beg for money on his live streams all the time, trying to get money to pay his lawyer. And Frank's lawyer knows that. I mean, for him, Frank's a cash cow, and whether he, says this is 170,000 or this is 250,000, like Frank's lawyer is going to make money on this. I don't know about that. We'll see on that. I do think you can settle your debts and maybe you have to serve 6 months in jail, but yeah, you can kind of handle issues. I mean, everything can be assuaged and softened out with a little bit of monetary compensation to the victims. I mean, I think Philip, the Howling Dogs guy that's in jail, he could have got out it, but I mean, he's got to pay $100,000 to that Food Panda driver that he put his hands on, which I also think's a messed up situation. That's just a money grab right there. Yeah, you're right. I think he's going Manila to LAX and then Greyhounding it to Alabama, and they will. I mean, yeah, they're not taking him into custody at LAX. Anybody wants to put a wager on that with me, I'll gladly take your money. Hey, Mr. Astoria. Hey, how you doing? So I'm going to disagree slightly with that. Tens of millions of Americans are on welfare, food stamps, Obama phone, and they've got a roof over their head. They're not going hungry. They have cell phones and all that, iPhones. They go out to eat and, I mean, get free medical care. So, like, having zero income in America is like not a death sentence. Like, I mean, there's so many government programs. Like, he might be able to have his disability rating increased. He might be able to go on food stamps, get an Obama phone, get free internet, get Section 8 housing. So, yeah, I mean, he's not going to be getting that those young, tight Filipinas in America. But um, will his standard of living decrease? I mean, I don't know. I think he's not going to be homeless. He's not going to go hungry. He's still going to have his Xbox wherever he is. So who's to say? I mean, we don't know. Yeah, I guess that motion of reconsideration's the 100,000 peso question. Yeah, I agree with you, Kenny and Subic. And well, a lot of lawyers here in the YouTube chat on other channels will vehemently disagree with that. They swear he's getting the cuffs slapped on him and he's going to jail forever for unpaid child support. Once again, like anybody wants to put a wager on that, I'll gladly shake their hand and take their money. But yeah, he's not getting arrested at the airport. And even if he went to Alabama to the child services office and says, "Hey, I'm Barry Lee Jordan. How much do I owe?" Like, they're not going to arrest him. They're going to take him to an office and say, "How much can you pay? This is how much you owe," and you work out a payment plan. And even if he walks out and says, "No way," there's millions of Americans that owe back child support that are out on the streets and not in jail. I mean, guys that go to jail for unpaid child support, like that's the extreme rarity. How long was he an overstayer, Mr. Astoriaje? Um, and how much did he pay? And was he in detention or not? Those are three questions I have for that. You can answer or not. Appreciate it if you would, though. Did you ever share your guilty pleasure of subbing to Bama to any of your associates when in the USA? Well, well, yeah, my ex-girlfriend back in the U.S. knew because I'd be, spending time with her and also kind of watching YouTube. Like she'd be doing her little Facebook chats in bed, and I'd be watching YouTube in bed. Um, a guilty pleasure of mine is like, I'll admit it. I would sometimes, I swear, Frank used to help me fall asleep. I'd put his videos on, and that voice would just put me to sleep. Put the timer on my thing to like 15 minutes, so my phone would shut off, so it wouldn't be going for hours, so he could rant for hours. But yeah, it was like listening to Frank is like listening to nothing. It's like he's not talking about anything substantive. It's nothing important. It's not going to affect anybody anyway. And it was, it was cathartic to me. It was a sedative. But as far as like, I kind of kept my like whole like idea of going to the Philippines and like moving there like to a small group of people. I didn't share it with many of my coworkers or patients or customers or even some of my friends. I didn't share it with just because unfortunately a lot of people will have negative connotations about an adult man going to the Philippines. They'll call you a pedo or say, oh, you're just going there for young girls, or you can't hack it in America. um, but I mean, yeah, one business partner that I thought was a cool guy, and we went out for drinks, and I told him, and like a few months later, we had what I would classify as the most minor of arguments ever, and he basically accused me of like going to the Philippines with an intent to molest children, and um, yeah, well, that ended our partnership. Um, Probably cost me close to 30 grand to just basically buy his share out and you know end the relationship. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people in America, they've got misperceptions, and they think any man living in Southeast Asia is automatically a chomo kitty fiddler. So I didn't tell too many people, and obviously wouldn't tell them you know was deep in the YouTube drama or listening to Barry Jordan. But I do have a couple. Actually, I have one friend in America that like I had known the guy for years, and like as far as I know, he's never been to the Philippines, and like he randomly sent me a Barry Jordan video a while back, and I was like, oh, I've met that guy. I've hung out with him. I've clanged glasses with him. Yeah, I don't know. I've been following Bama for you'd say almost 5 years. I wasn't on him way back in the day when he first got to the Philippines, but yeah, it probably 4 years or 5 years I've been following him, I guess. I mean, you can't really. I'm following the genre for a few years, but like who I probably watch. I mean, I did get into the Frank and Barry drama just because it was just so entertaining. But most of like the long live streams and shows, I don't watch them. Like I was on the Big Kev show yesterday. I think that was my first time. But yeah, I maybe watch like a couple hours of Big Kev a month. Like I don't really watch any of the other ones. I rarely watch Fazio, believe it or not. Like, I mean, 10 minutes a month, I watch Fazio. I mean, um, yeah, I kind of just, I really bounce around. Like, now that I'm in the Philippines, I'm watching far less YouTube. And the channels I watch, it's mainly like travel vlogs about like where I plan to go. Like, if I'm going to, Bantayan, I would, find out about the beaches in Bantayan, or if I'm planning to go somewhere. But yeah, I'd say maybe a third of my YouTube viewing is Philippines based. Yeah, I mean, seeing California license plates in a parking lot, like, that doesn't mean masses of people are driving there. I mean, I believe you. Yes, people did drive from California to go to Maggie's Farms in Colorado Springs. I'm not denying that. But Yeah, I've never heard of someone driving to Colorado to buy weed. Never, never. Even back before 2016, before it was legal in California. That's news to me. Um, so, I mean, even at any point in history, there were 10 times more dispensaries in California than Colorado. Whether you pick a year, 2010, 2020, whenever, like 10 times more dispensaries in California. So people would be having, I mean, maybe if you live on the eastern border of California and you're, you know, I don't know why. That's honestly, that's absurd to me that someone would pass up 200 dispensaries to go to Colorado. That's like driving to Colorado to go to McDonald's, and you're passing up 200 McDonald's in California and Nevada to get to Colorado. Um, has someone driven from California to Nevada to Colorado to go to a McDonald's? Sure. I mean, are you going to see a California license plate in a McDonald's parking lot in Colorado? Sure. But no, 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 Kenny, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to like pick on you, but no, people don't drive from California to Colorado to buy weed. That's not the way the world works. Sorry, man. Sorry to burst your bubble. Do you remember when Bama's son would come into his chat? I do not remember that. I actually do not remember that. That'd be interesting to see. I'd like to see that interaction, though. Yeah, I would love to watch some of those old videos. I mean, that's actually like good content. Like a guy going from his sleeping in his friend's garage in Alabama to a truck stop to New York and hitchhiking to get a passport to, go to the Philippines to meet his chatmate. Like, I mean, if that was like marketed correctly and, promoted, like that could get hundreds of thousands of views. And like, I mean, that's a story right there. I think you're right on that, Crazy How. If you have a hold departure order, a court order, so if like you run out on, I guess that would be considered a staffa. Like if you had, a 12-month lease at a place and you owed a deposit or, but I do think still like whoever you owe the money to would have to get a judgment rendered against you. And yeah, I think that would stop you at the airport. And you're absolutely right. If you stay more than 6 months and you leave, you've got to do what's called the exit clearance. It's like 1,500 pesos. Take fingerprint. Takes a day. So yeah, that is true. But yeah, I don't. I just does Bama have a whole departure order? I don't. As far as I know, no. I mean, some of these internet sleuths and legal experts would probably unearth the documents on that. So, I mean, does he owe some people money? Probably. But like, did those people hire a lawyer and go to court and get a judgment against them? My guess is no. That's not the case. Yeah. So if he's getting 580 a month, 15% is what, $90. I mean, so he enters in a payment program for $90 a month, pays it for a few months. Like that's not going to prevent him from getting a passport. And even then, it's like you're getting money and then they're taking money away. So whether he's getting 580 or 470 or whatever, then who knows? He can go back to America and like, I mean, if they put him at the poverty line, which is with all the inflation cola increases, he might be getting 1,100 a month, and then they take 15% of that, and so he's getting 9 something a month, and then they give him a housing credit, then they give him $180 a month in food stamps, and they give him an Obama phone and free health care. I mean, that's essentially that's an increase in his standard of living, right? Yeah, he'd get all the benefits. I mean, damn, he'd come to California and probably pull in close to 2,000 a month. I mean, then again, Sandwich is $14. So, I mean, it goes right back. So does he have an open warrant? Like, has that been proven? I mean, we don't know that. I mean, that's speculation, because it seemed like case for unpaid child support was from 2013, and Bama's passport was issued on 2015. So square that. How does that make sense? Um, I don't. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. That's obviously will be settled, and whether he's allowed to get a passport, whether he gets arrested at the airport, we'll find out. Well, he was poor in the U.S. before. He's poor in the Philippines, and he'll be poor in the U.S. when he goes back. So, um, status quo, right? And he needs health care. That's he was planning on going back to get health care. So, um, I mean, who knows what type of issues he has? Is it serious? Is it going to require like hospitalization stay? Is it surgery? Who knows? I mean, that's his plan is to go back to the U.S. for healthcare reasons, which I think would expedite his processing through the Philippines judicial system and deportation proceedings. But I think once again that's just going to take money. Money will expedite the process. Let me be clear on that. I don't think that's true, Crazy How. I think you could do a Zillow check or look on Craigslist right now and easily find one bedroom apartments in Alabama for $700-800 a month. Because I know you can find studios in California for $1,000 a month, or you can get a roommate and split it and do it for $500 a month. And there's Airbnbs, and there, he could stay with a friend, stay with a relative. So no, it ain't $1,500 a month minimum rent in Alabama. Totally false. Sorry, man. That's just not true. But he's rich in the content he gives. So this is from earlier. I asked Astoriaje a few questions regarding his friend. He was a 3-year overstayer, paid for visa and late fines, 120,000, 25 promotion, 35 for the agency, and fine for him. Never spent a day in jail. Well, that kind of jives with what Barry said. I think what was Barry, a 6-year overstayer, and I heard the number of 222,800 posted from a reliable source. And then 40,000 for the lawyer and maybe a little extra here and there. So yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Yeah, I think he would be crashing at a family member's house in the meantime while he gets his benefits sorted out. Obviously, the state's not going to give him a nice house to live in for free. He might go work at the Waffle House. He might work at another place, and a portion of his salary would go towards rent, like 10%. I'm not really familiar with Section 8. I've never been on it. Don't really know anybody that's on it. Don't associate with anybody that's on it. But I guess 10% is what it would be. So if he's making $1,500 a month working at the Waffle House, he'd pay $150 a month for a little studio apartment, or maybe they'd give him a room in a house, kind of like a halfway house, sober living house, or whatever it is. Yeah, my girl is 20 and looks about 16. So I agree with that. That is totally true. Um, Actually, at the another resort I was at, uh, met a, I don't know whether she's 58 or was her 59th birthday or what, but this was an older lady. And if I had to guess, I would have said she was like 35, 36. and like met her family, and they're like, yeah, it's her 59th birthday, and I'm like, whoa, lady, like you look 35. So I think it has to do with less fat in their diet and taking cold showers keeps their skin a little fresher. So yeah, if Asians avoid the sun, they can occasionally look very young, but some of them age horribly. Let's be honest too. Hey, hey, nobody should be calling Rike a pedophile. All does not file. Yeah, Fazio's happy. I mean, uh, it sucks. I couldn't live in that place. I just can't imagine how dirty it is. The bacteria and filth and grime and fungus growing. I mean, even Daisy May won't stay with him. Fazio says he's paying for her and her friend to stay in a house. Not true. I think they're staying in a 500 peso a night bed spacer around the corner. But even at this point, Daisy May will not stay in that house. She won't even, let alone sleep with Fazio or be intimate with him. She's not going to stay in that house. Fazio thankfully didn't invite me in his house because I don't know how I would have politely declined, saying no, no, I'll just wait for you out here. But yeah, when I went and visited him, he came out very apprehensive. So I don't know if I was going to have to kick your ass. So I got a good laugh out of that, considering it took him about 30 seconds to go down 3 steps of stairs outside his shack to come down. And yeah, we walked to the beach, about 100-meter walk, and that was a little difficult. Maybe a 150-meter walk to the beach, and that was difficult for him, I've got to admit. I kind of actually almost was like, hey, we don't need to really walk down here. We could just kind of talk in your front yard of your dilapidated shack. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. Yeah, my girlfriend didn't even want to stay with us, didn't even want to be seen with him. Like, honestly, there was an odor coming from him. So it kept my 5 to 10 foot distance for sure. Didn't want to get too close to him. Can't blame Daisy May for not wanting to stay in that house. That place was, whew. Yeah, I don't really watch them. I I've maybe watched 5 hours of Fazio in my life, and it is he's a character. And truthfully, the reason why I went and visited him like 10 months ago was because I don't think he hadn't done a live for over a month, or hadn't done posted a. And I was listening to Frank, and Frank said he died, and I was like, well, wait a second, I'm here in Alona, like 7-minute motorcycle ride to Fazio's house. He lives right next to the Stanley house, so it's very, findable, easy to get to on the map. And I go, Fazio died? Really? Well, I checked his channel. He hadn't been online in over a month. And Frank's here in a live stream saying he died. And I drive over to his house, park my bike, yell, hey, Fazio. And he was on the phone with Jack Thompson at the time. And he came outside. We talked for, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour. He spent a lot of time talking about Warren H. I'll tell you that much. And all the court cases he was doing. Talked about how busy he was and doing all this. And interesting time. That was definitely an interesting meeting. Yeah. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but have people gone from, but realistically, no. I mean, that's not the way it works. Hey, hey, be nice, be nice. You notice he's painted, well, during this hotel building process, he's got an excavator that has been parked out front for about 4 years, and I don't think he's ran it once. I don't think the engine works. I don't think he knows how to fix the engine, but he has painted it 3 times in the past 4 years. He has painted that excavator 3 times. Twice this year he's painted it. He painted it a different shade of yellow. Now it's a cream colored yellow. Yeah, I think even most red states have dispensaries now. Like, is there a state in the nation that doesn't have a dispensary? Like legal, or I mean, even a unlicensed one? Like, I I've got to imagine it's nationwide. Even everywhere's got to have it. I mean, I've never been to the Deep South Bible Belt, other than New Orleans, but I just it's just so ubiquitous at this point. Like, I don't see what the issue is. Uh, Not sure about that. I would venture to guess that over 99% of people don't grow their own weed. Most go to the dispensary to buy it or have a dealer. Growing weed is far more difficult. Okay, let me back up. Growing weed is easy. Growing high quality weed is extremely difficult. So yeah, you've got to have your temperature, your nutrients, CO2 diffusers, lighting. Everything's got to be in harmony with each other. You got to start with good genetics. You have to do a proper cure and have patience. So growing weed is easy. Growing high quality weed is extremely difficult. So most people want the high quality stuff, and they don't have the time, space, money, or expertise to grow it properly in their own closet or backyard. Um, so yeah, my guess would be maybe 1 out of 1,000 people in California are growers. That's my educated guess. Well, it could just be like a prosecutor with uh, some sort of consideration decided not to press forward with that. I mean, if they're going to still go forward with the deportation for being an overstaying alien, um, I think proving that he's an undesirable hinges on the knife wielding video. And I I I don't care what anybody says. I don't think Bama pulled a knife on that waitress. I think what happened was he didn't. So when I was with him in Mohol, he didn't really go out too much, and because he was physically attacked from behind a month or so, 2 or 3 prior to that. So Bama was there, but he wasn't like out at the bars, bar hopping, like showing his face too much. So he went to the bar, and the waitress said he owed money. He turned the mic off, and what he told me says, and I mean, I know some of you will take this with a grain of salt, but what he told me is that she said something like, "Oh, I thought you didn't go out to the bars anymore." And he goes, "No, I still go out. Look, I have this knife. This is why I protect myself. This is why I go out." And like, she said, okay. And Bama stayed at the bar for another hour or two, had a few more drinks. Her boyfriend was there. There was security there, like police presence on that main tourist strip at that right where it is. So the narrative that she said, "You owe me money," and Bama takes out his knife and starts threatening her, like, no, that's not what happened. And I'm sure if somehow, some way, the waitress was ever interviewed, whether by the authorities or another YouTuber, she confirmed that account. So if that's what basis on being undesirable, or I mean, let's be honest, so he called Frank a name on YouTube, and Frank goes to his lawyer and says, "Well, he called me names. I'm offended. He's undesirable." I don't think a Philippines prosecutor or court is going to deem that grounds for considering someone an undesirable alien. Is he an overstayer? Absolutely. I mean, that's been conclusively proven at this point. But him being an undesirable alien for calling Frank's names, no. For pulling a knife on a bartender, well, no, that's not what happened. He showed a knife and said, "This is why I got attacked, so now I carry a knife. Like, I don't, yeah. So I, yeah, I mean, if we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens on that. Um, well, two schools of thought on that, Don C. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think in like totality, you're correct. But like, if you kind of think about it, like keeping him in jail just means like they're going to get more money out of him via multiple means, um, and pay the cost of food and stay. Well, if it's an empty cell in a prison, or not a prison, a jail, what's it really cost to keep him there? And as far as food, like they don't feed him. He pays for his own food. So the cost of food is zero. The cost of him staying there is next to zero because it's Barry says there's a few cells empty. So what's the cost of an empty cell at a jail? So whether it's empty or it's got someone in it, I mean, the cost is the same. The food cost is zero. The guard's already there. It's not like, oh, now we got 6 detainees instead of 4 detainees, so we need to hire another night guard or something. I think no matter what, there's the same amount of guards. The administrative costs are the same. But I do think he's getting sent out of the country, and I'm not sure about the blacklist. I mean, there's articles about how to get your name off a blacklist, so I don't think he's going to get fully blacklisted. I don't know about that. I don't know if he says he's had a daughter. That's news to me. I know he's acknowledged having a son, but if he has a daughter, we'll see. Good day to you, Mr. Writer. The answer to that is a definitive yes. He will continue his vlogging back in the U.S. I'm not going to divulge details of what his plans are, but yeah, he will definitely be a vlogger. He's expressed to me that he's got a plan to continue vlogging with new types of content, and you guys are going to have to wait and see what that content is. Sunk cost fallacy, right? Would you elaborate on that? What type of job did you offer him? What state? What salary? What type of business? I'm interested in that. You don't have to answer if you don't. If you want to keep it private, I understand. Please try to be respectful. Let's call him Barry or Bama. Yeah, I think he's going to be on YouTube for a while. It is definitely a source of income for him. Once he gets his monetization back and gets some content going, like, yeah, I mean, there's no reason he can't make 300 to 500 US a month off this. I think he was making in that range with all the super chat and AdSense at his heyday. I think he was definitely pushing 500 a month. I don't know what he's averaged for the past 5 years. If you put me on the spot, I'd say he's probably in the $200 to $300 a month range. That's my guess. I'm not checking the guy's wallet or patting his pockets, but that's my opinion. Oh yeah, and they get free health care and free food and free housing and all that. And I mean, I don't want to make this a political channel or a political live stream, but I mean, I'm a straight white male Republican, so make of that what you will. But I'm surprisingly pro-immigration. I think immigration is a human right, and it's a part of human history. People have traveled across planet Earth. Borders are a man-made construct. But I think the U.S. should accept immigrants, but I would put a caveat on that. Like, anybody who wants to come to the U.S., and I mean anybody, 10 million Nigerians, 20 million Bangladeshis, 8 million Guatemalans, or whoever wants to come to the U.S. can come U.S. One condition: you are not start voting Democrat and having politicians pander to you. Like anybody who wants to come to the U.S., and I mean anybody, put up some money as a bond in a U.S. bank account. Don't commit a crime or you get deported and you lose that bond you put in the bank account. And I would even say, no, you can't vote for 10 years. But if 150 million people wanted to come to America from 50 different countries, fine, put money in a U.S. bank account, don't commit any crimes. You can't vote for 10 years. You don't get Obamacare or Obama phone or food stamps or Section 8 housing. You pay your own way, you get a job, you pay taxes. And after 10 years, you become a full U.S. citizen with voting rights. And then at that point, you can avail of health care and all that. The only thing I would say they'd be allowed to would be immediately life-threatening emergency health care. Like if they got a bolo to the head, for example, then they could go to the emergency room. But if they get, diabetes or something, like they don't get Obamacare and get to go on dialysis and see doctors, like you got diabetes, that's fine. You can either pay full price through the private sector, get private insurance and do it that way, or you can go back to Bangladesh and treat your diabetes at a Bangladeshi hospital. But if 10 million Bangladeshis want to come to America, fine. But they've got to, they don't get to avail of our benefits for 10 years. So that's all I'll say on that, which I think is actually a very humane and middle of the road position. Well, I mean, I'd say possibly 200 million Americans get that free government cheddar. I mean, theoretically, everybody who has a public sector job, from police to firemen to librarians to workers at the DMV to postal office delivery boys and judges, mayors, senators, governors, like there's a lot of people, veterans getting a check, people getting an unemployment disability check, senior citizens getting a social security check. Like it's like 200 million Americans that get a check from the government one way or another. So a lot of people are getting that money from the government. Almost vast majority of foreigners here too. Yeah, Fazio is good for a laugh. He's a character. I think he's suffering from mental illness though, so I actually kind of feel sorry for the guy. I take it easy on him, and no, I was not the one that did the drive-by on his house. Those videos were sent to me. So no, I'm not stalking Fazio. The only time look, if I go to someone's house, I knock on their door, I ask to speak to them directly. That's how I operate. So but yeah, Fazio's shack is, it's not a pretty sight. For a white guy, I speak Spanish extremely well. I'd probably surprise you if I started speaking Spanish. Studied it in high school and actually passed the AP Spanish exam. Well, barely passed it, got a 3. And then my freshman year and sophomore year of college, I worked in a cafe next to campus, and all the cooks were Mexican, and the cashiers were too. We had one female cashier that was white, but pretty much everybody else working there was Mexican. And I mean, just to converse with them, I had to speak Spanish. And I think like a year and a half working in a cafe, speaking to my Mexican coworkers, I learned more Spanish than 4 years of studying it in high school and middle school. Yeah, I don't even really want to call that a tool shed. Tool sheds across the world would be offended by being compared to that dilapidated shack. Yeah, he's not going to be hosting any dinner parties at his residence. We'll say that much. I mean, everything in there is basically built by him, and it appears that the air conditioning's not working because he's got the window and door wide open, and that was on a hot day. And if it's like 90 degrees and sunny, and he's recovering from a medical procedure, would he want to be in comfort with air conditioning? So he's probably got a fan. He's got his laptop. I can't imagine what that bed looks like, or the last time he washed his sheets or changed his pillowcases. Um, yeah, that's you'll never really kind of see a pan view of his shack. You're never gonna get like a tour de Fazio. It's gonna be just kind of like on his face when he does his live streams, because I think even as crazy as Fazio is, deep down he's extremely embarrassed by his living conditions, and that's a direct result of being broke and having no money. I mean, he said that he was just a day laborer, construction worker, and he got paid under the table, so he's probably getting the bare minimum, whatever Social Security. I'm probably 600-700 a month. And he probably kicks Daisy down some to keep the charade going, and then his habits and internet and food. That's about it. And even if he's getting 700 a month, he's probably only living on 400 or 500 a month. It's not like he's not going island hopping. He's not taking vacations and eating out at restaurants. And if he ever does eat out at a restaurant, he's going to stream it and film it. Yeah, it's probably 15 by 20 meters, I'm guessing, and there's not a lot of space. He does have a shipping container on there, a small shipping container. He's got that broken down excavator that hasn't ran in 4 years. His actual shack is probably 3 meters by 4 meters, and then he's just got a lot of like rotting wood and like junk strewn across the property. So he doesn't really have like a yard or space to walk around. It's just like, yeah, it's a shithole. Let's just call it what it is. It's a shithole. I'm almost ashamed as an American that there's a fellow American living like that. It puts us all down to some extent. Like, Filipinos see that and they think we're like, oh, these rich Americans and all this, and then they see Fazio living like that, and like, brings down the level of respect that we all receive. I think you're referring to marijuana dispensaries in Utah. Okay, yeah, I stand corrected, John. I think you're right. There may be nothing in Utah. That's probably true. Yeah, and then him being isolated in his shack with no friends, nobody coming to visit, no girlfriend, no companionship. I mean, he has no relationship with his neighbors. His neighbors despise him. They say he's cheap and crazy and smelly. And this is direct quotes from them. Very curry potes. Baho, smells bad. Buong, crazy. So if your neighbors describe you as curry pote, Baho, and Buong, cheap, smelly, and crazy, um, yeah, they don't invite him over. The only time you've seen him interact with neighbors is when he kind of crashed the party of that little barn guy fiesta of the guys drinking some Red Horse. But yeah, being isolated from other humans and your only out, way to talk is just like ranting into a camera, into YouTube, to people you've never met, never will meet, that are thousands of miles away, who have never been to the Philippines. Is no way to live. And anybody who disagrees with them is blocked. So you just end up with this small core of sycophantic followers. And I mean, look, guys that if you actually think he's building a hotel, you're a fool. I'm not going to mince words here. If you think Fazio is building a hotel, you are stupid. Your brain is slow. You are an idiot. You are a fool. Fazio is not building a hotel. I'm not going to mince words on this subject. A lot of times I kind of dance around the issue, but like, if you truly believe Fazio and he's got these architectural plans and he's just waiting on this approval and he's hiring a crew and he's got the excavator, like, you're an idiot. There's no hotel. Like, just let's be clear as day on that. No, he's not building a hotel. No, no, no. Yeah, I was almost like concerned for him. Like, if this was someone in America, you would call the, social services to do a welfare check on him and, like, try to get him some help. But I guess that's what was when Ricky Drama went to the house or place he lived in, rented in Florida. I don't think it was his property. I think he rented there. It was some subdivision, and they essentially kicked him out of the subdivision because he just had so much trash strewn across the property. And like, no, most subdivisions will have rules like you got to keep your trim on your house painted. You can't have vehicles parked in your front driveway and on your lawn and all that. And yeah, Fazio, he's just got, I mean, if he can live in that condition, more power to him. I certainly couldn't. Yeah, it's what it is. I mean, what the exact DSM condition is, whether it's psychosis or delusions or um, manic depressive or just, I mean, insane. But yeah, he's got something with him for sure. Yeah, him and Poopeye sure like to live in the past. It's just they're some crazy, crazy guys down there in Florida. Yeah, and like all the lip readers and everybody talking about that this is what he said, like, is pure speculation. Like, there's no way he pulled a knife on that girl. Like, even if you consider Bam as a liar, like, I don't believe for a second he pulled a knife and threatened that girl. That's just not the way it went down. Well, yeah. I mean, I wish we had access to some of his earlier videos on YouTube, and like it can kind of be spliced together, and um, the whole like 3 year saga with Frank, that could probably be condensed into 3 minutes of just shouting and back and forth. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd buy it too. I mean, I think they should do a Netflix show about just like the specific drama on YouTube. Like, I mean, it could be like a 10 episode series. You got, I mean, Vandiver, Fazio, Frank, Barry, Ricky Drama. And then, of course, you got the guys in the U.S. that aren't even in the Philippines that are somehow a part of this genre, like Pupai and, guys that were here 30 years ago, but spend 30 hours a week watching, listening, and commenting on Philippines YouTube videos. It'd be interesting. Oh yeah, it would be awesome. 100% right there, Don. They do want to see the train wrecks, and it's kind of what it is. I mean, uh, but yeah, I do like watching it for the train wrecks. Well, I mean, you could do a 7 year series on Fazio's hotel build. Probably stretch it into a 10 year series. Yeah, if it's a sex crime, I think that's a little more serious. And I'd like to know the details of that voyeurism charge. Was he put a peephole in the girl's bathroom, and what was it exactly? Was doing upskirt videos, or I don't know. I guess Japan finally made it illegal to do upskirt videos. Um, I guess that was a big fetish in Japanese porn. Was you get on the subway and you somehow like put a camera in your shoe and you stand next to a girl wearing a skirt and you film up her skirt, and like a million Japanese guys vigorously masturbating to that. Yeah, they got some weird fetishes over there. Don't know where they went wrong. That's kind of cool. That's actually a good story. Rob a bank in Japan, flee to the Philippines for a few years, get arrested. Now that could be a Netflix special. Yeah, Thailand seems like they got their game together a little more. I think landlords have to like get ID and report everybody who's staying at their residence, and every 30 or 60 days file that with immigration. And I don't think it's something like the Philippines where you can just you know bounce around without any government oversight. Google Professor Immigration Marbles. I might do that. I might check that out. Well, this is what the Democrats want. They want them all over here. They want to give them voting rights. They want to integrate them into the schools, free health care, free housing, free, well, food stamps, phone, everything. It's and vote Democrat. That's it's they want to replace the American voters with a new voter that's dependent on the government for subsidies, and then essentially put them on a digital dollar, and then you can control the population, have them outbreed the native population, and you can essentially replace a country with a more compliant, dependent voter base. Um, it's essentially the Great Reset in a nutshell. Yeah, he doesn't know a damn thing. He can't get that excavator running. He can't get his air conditioning fixed. Um, he claims that it's been raining nonstop and there's brownouts. Like, dude, I've spent, I think, 25 days in Alona Beach over the past 10 or 11 months. It hasn't been raining, and like I know a guy from Cebu who moved out there that I'm in contact with all the time, and like it's above average rain. It's not raining every day. Somehow dozens of hotels have been built this year all across Panglao Island, despite this nonstop torrential rain that has stopped Fazio from working. Um, I go to a little restaurant that's actually not far from him. It's called Cactus Cantina, a little Tex-Mex place, just a few kilometers away from him. He spoke nothing about brownouts. As a matter of fact, he just put a second refrigerator in. Um, I don't know what these brownouts he's talking about. It's, are there brownouts? Sure. But once again, somehow dozens of hotels have been built in the past year, despite the rain and brownouts. Um, and I'm not sure those hotel owners have spent a few thousand hours ranting into YouTube talking about alien abductions and satellites and flat Earth. But yeah, I mean, if you spend 1,000 hours on YouTube talking about the Earth is flat and there's no satellites in space, and secrets of the dollar bill, then I could see how that might inhibit your hotel building progress. Well, the excavator doesn't work, Mike. It's dilapidated. It's been sitting out there in the elements for 4 years. So for him to get a real mechanic qualified to fix that excavator might cost, 100,000. What if it needs parts? It's got to be transported. He doesn't have the transportation. Um, I mean, do we even know that's his excavator? Could it just be something that like someone rented him and like is storing? Maybe it's being stored there, or he picked up a broken excavator, like because he hasn't ran it for 4 years. Um, so as far as, and let's be honest, like Fazio ain't making no money. Like he's not renting something out. He's not starting a business, advertising, dealing with customers. Like he's ranting into YouTube. He's not like, no, Fazio's not starting an excavator rental business. Like just like Barry ain't going to be apply to be a neurosurgeon at, when he gets back to America. Like Fazio ain't doing this. Fazio's collecting his welfare check and just disability and social security and e-begging and scamming and just making crazy rants into YouTube, and that's what he's going to be doing for the next couple years till he has some serious health problem. Then he'll probably go back to the U.S. and live in a hospice. So just enjoy him for what he is. Don't put pressure on him to start an excavator business. Come on now. I don't know if you're joking about that, but yeah, he ain't starting no excavator rental company. Yeah, there's a show in America. I don't know, is it Discovery or TLC, but it's called The Hoarders, and they bring in social workers to intervene with them. They bring their family members. They bring a cleanup team to help them out, and a lot of them don't want help, and a lot of them are just batshit crazy. My favorite part are the animal hoarders. I'll never forget the one episode I saw some old lady living with like 50 cats, and she basically slept, sat, ate, did everything in this one chair. The rest of the house was just like filth. But this one chair she kept sort of clean. But then they moved the chair, and underneath the chair they found like several dead cats, like one that was probably been dead for a couple weeks, one that had been dead for a couple months, one that was like just a skeleton, had been dead for a couple years. So living on top of a cat burial site. But yeah, animal hoarders. You want to talk about a guilty pleasure. I used to love watching that show. Yeah, the engine's blown. That thing's not running. That's how much you think it costs to get a new engine or fix an engine for an excavator. I mean, 500,000 pesos. Like, I mean, who's going to pay for that? Not Fazio. I mean, yeah, and he's not going to fix it. He's not capable of it. He doesn't have the mechanical knowledge to do it. Let me see if I. Okay, I'm on StreamYard. Kenny, I want to make you a moderator. I don't know how to do it here on StreamYard though. The little 3-dot tab doesn't have a make a moderator symbol. But yeah, you've been a follower for a while, and I don't agree with everything you say, and you probably don't agree with everything I say, but I do support free speech, and I like to have varying viewpoints. So I will make you a moderator once I figure this out. And then you could post links in the chat about this. Post a link to the Philippine government website. That's actually good information where you can see the people getting arrested. I'm assuming most of them are just like Chinese workers that are like the casino workers in Manila that are overstayers. But it's always good to see the white American or Australian overstayer or guys getting arrested. Those are fun. Well, hoarders don't really sell things. He's going to keep it, and it's just going to sit there and get worn out and exposed to the elements for a few more years, and until like he croaks or goes back to America, and then eventually some barangay official will just kind of come take possession of it. And I mean, it's worthless at this point. Like the cost to fix it's probably greater than it's worth. So probably just get scrapped and sold into parts. But I don't know. I mean, if he tried to sell it, what can you get for a broken down excavator that's been sitting out in the elements for 4 years? 30,000, 40,000 pesos? I don't know. Yeah, he's that staircase has got rotten wood, and yeah, it's a mess. I mean, he's one of those guys. Just like it's like you said, a can of yellow spray paint, and a roll of duct tape. Like that's the cure for what ails him. See, John Ryder, you sound like an enabler. I mean, why would you build a man a house for free? Like that's not cheap, man. I mean, if you got the money and you like doing that, like by all means. But yeah, it's just he's even if you built him a house, you think he's gonna maintain it? Like it'd go to shit real fast. Just a heads up, guys. Jerry, Philippines and Beyond, he will be going live in 15 minutes. So I'm going to be ending this soon, and I'll probably go on his live stream. I'm not sure what channel he's going to be using. And once again, I'm not sure that's Jerry. That might be Juan Julio Martinez filling in. So it may not even be Jerry. And that's Jerry the Fairy, as people like to call him. Yeah, well, suckers have given him money. I mean, how many, like, that fool John Blaze was, I think he's an investor in a hotel talking about buying the third floor. Now the Warren backed out. And, like, once again, if you think Fazio's building a hotel, like, I'm not going to mince words, you are stupid. Like, you are really, really stupid if you think Fazio's building a hotel. That's just plain as day. So, if you think he's building a hotel, you know what I think of you. Hello, Mr. Ventura. Well, he is a farmhand in Alabama. He is not a lawyer. He's not a paralegal, legal expert. Seems to be a lot of legal experts and lawyers here on YouTube. I'm not sure where they graduated from law school. But yeah, I wouldn't listen to a farmhand from Alabama. His legal expertise. Yeah, I mean, America doesn't care about overstayers and illegal immigrants. Like, there's millions of them. I mean, you go back and forth. I mean, just don't commit a crime. I mean, yeah, I don't see what the issue is. Making videos from a window without consent. That's rather vague. I'd like to read the police report on that. I'm sure it's public documents, public record. It's out there somewhere. See you, Don C. Yeah, Costco's good. We got S&R here in the Philippines. It's not the same, but it's close. They do have Kirkland products. Yeah, I'm in Cebu City, and I've actually never experienced a brownout once. Never once. Out in the province of Bohol, we did have one for like 3 hours, but it was announced the day before. I mean, everywhere I've traveled, I'm usually staying in hotels. I'd say half of them have a generator, so maybe the generator's kicked on. But yeah, honestly, like, I don't experience brownouts here. There's been times where the power cuts off. 2 seconds later, it goes back on. But in 2 days from now will be my 1 year anniversary here in the Philippines. And I spent half that time in Cebu, half the time traveling. And I've maybe experienced 8 hours of brownouts overall. 8 hours in 360 something days. Okay. So no, there aren't brownouts. Like that's bullshit. I mean, maybe Fazio's place is getting brownouts because maybe he rewired the electrical and he didn't know what the hell he was doing. But no, the Stanley house next door to him, they're not getting brownouts. Like, absolutely not. Like my friend's restaurant, a couple kilometers away from him, not receiving brownouts at all. Oh yeah, I didn't say you didn't earn it, Kenny. I do think you did earn it. I'm just saying it is a check from the government. Whether you earned it or not, like, and I'm saying you did earn it, but what I'm saying is I'm differentiating between private sector and public sector. So someone working for the U.S. government in any capacity, soldier, senator, judge, whatever, like that's a check from the government, i.e. from the public sector. So it's not a check from the private sector. So small difference, but thank you for your service. I do appreciate it. See you later, Mr. Ryder. Ooh, so this is what I initially did this live stream about. And you guys sucked me into the drama. I didn't want to be talking about Barry and Frank and all this drama, but well, I was easily sucked into it. I'll fully admit. I'm gonna go with Denver in 6. I'm a huge Laker fan. I'm from LA, Long Beach specifically. Been to a few Laker games. Actually, was a Clipper season ticket holder for 3 years. Couldn't afford Laker season tickets, at least not in the lower bowl. I could afford them in the upper bowl, the 300 section. But that I've watched a few Laker games in the 300 section, and it's just I'd rather just sit at home and watch it on 60-inch high definition TV or watch it at a bar. But the lower bowl is where it's at, and lower Laker season tickets in the lower bowl, you're looking at about $20,000 to $30,000 per seat per year. That's for the upper part of the lower bowl. You know, you want fifth row center court. I don't know, 1,500 per seat per game, so 60,000 a year. You get 2 seats. That's 120 grand to get Laker tickets. Two Laker tickets for a season. Sorry, man, I'm not in that tax bracket. But Clippers, yeah, you can get 8th row Clipper tickets back in 2012 to 2015 when they had Blake Griffin before they got Chris Paul, and yeah, I think it was around $85 a ticket, so that was cool. But I would say Denver in 6. That's my goal, or that's my prediction. Yeah, Denver in 6. Jamal Murray looks healthy. Nikola Jokic is he's doing great. He doesn't have the athleticism of Anthony Davis, but he's got a much better basketball IQ. I don't think they can put anybody else on him. I don't think Rui Hachimura's got the bulk. I don't think LeBron's going to be guarding Jokic. So it's going to be Anthony Davis versus Jokic. And Anthony Davis isn't going to be backing him down in the post on offense. Anthony Davis is kind of going to just be more floating in a mid-range game. And it depends. I mean, Lakers could win, but I think Vegas has Denver in 6 also. If the Lakers would have won Game 5 against Golden State and cleared them out in 5 games instead of losing Game 5 and winning Game 6, that extra few days of rest, I might have said Lakers in 6 or 7, but LeBron's getting up there. He's playing great, but Father Time's undefeated, and he's not playing too much defense. And sometimes in the fourth quarter, at least against Memphis, a couple of those games in the fourth quarter, his legs were giving out. He didn't have it, and without LeBron playing perfect ball, I just I don't know. I'm gonna go Denver and say, but I pray I don't see the Lake. It'd be pretty cool. Yeah, they like to take things to 7 games. it's a lot of the executives are essentially paid in those game sevens. Those generate at least $5-10 million in revenue for the NBA. So, and a lot of that goes into executive compensation. And I'll, I could talk for hours about NBA officiating. If you ever watch a basketball game with me, I rail on the officials nonstop. So, yeah, they definitely want these games to go 6, hopefully 7. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to end this live stream. Uh, Jerry is starting his live stream soon, so I'll probably go on there. But I might not be on there right in the beginning. I'm going to eat breakfast first. So see you guys later.